Okay, looks like the recording has started. This is the time set for an original hearing / rehearing for ARTHEL Martin, offender number 199332. Is that you, sir? Okay. I'm Nathan Evershed. I'm a pro tem member of the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole, and I've been assigned to conduct your hearing today.
Okay.
Before we proceed, I want you to be aware that this hearing is being live streamed for public access and recorded. I don't know if anyone from the general public is here. I don't know, but I do know that there is a victim present, John Sharkey, who we will be able to hear from as well. So just so you know that they're able to log in and hear what's going on here as well.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to map out the agenda that we're going to be going through, and then we'll be hearing from Mr. Sharkey. So I just want you to know, I'm going to first swear you in, and then I'm going to be, we'll be hearing from Mr. Sharkey, and then we'll be going from there. So if you can just raise your right hand. Do you swear that the information that you provide today will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And thank you. And did you receive at least 7 days written notice of today's hearing?
Yes, I have.
And did you blue disclosure packet of information?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. Have you had a chance to review that?
Yes, I have.
And do you have any questions, concerns, or corrections about the information in the disclosure packet?
No?
Okay, so are you ready to move forward?
Sure.
Okay, so we understand that there might be some kind of technical glitch that may be occurring in this other facility where Mr. Sharkey is. So Mr. Sharkey, what we'll do is we'll make sure that we'll hear your statement here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm going to need you to also be sworn in. And so if you can raise your right hand, do you swear that the information that you provide today will be truthful and accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate you being here today. It is your right as a victim to be present in these matters. You're obviously present from where you are. So what statement did you want to give?
So back in 2021, I was housed with Mr. Martin, and at that point in time, it was I know he was a state inmate in Cache County Jail. It was kind of during the COVID era. You know, I conversed with the gentleman multiple times. Him and I were on good terms. Our living situation was terrible. Cache County does not provide state inmates. We were housed in they had us sleeping in a auxiliary exercise room some of the time that we were down there. I know there was a lot of idle time. I never had any complications with Mr. Martin. I think what it came down to was at a certain point in time, it was just tension was high in the unit. I don't hold any ill will against him. I'm not in any fear for my safety. What I knew of him, he was a very kind gentleman. He was knowledgeable. I know that when he was housed in Gunnison, I know he was in the Strive program. I'm currently in the Strive program. So I do know that, you know, he made a lot of changes for the better. I do know that, you know, this program is proven to be beneficial to the inmates. And I just wanted to make it clear that, you know, I'm not in any fear of the gentleman. I wouldn't contest that he remains incarcerated any longer on my behalf. I don't have any ill will, and I'm nothing against him.
Thank you. I want you to know I've made lots of notes. Part of the purpose of this hearing is to not only hear from Mr. Martin, but also to hear from people connected to this case. I appreciate that, you know, you didn't have to be here today, but you chose to be here and make that statement. I assume that is all of your statement, unless there's anything else you wanted to say. I just want you to know we appreciate it. Is that a fair assumption? Is that your full statement that you'd like to share?
One other thing I forgot to add was, I know during our confrontation, nobody was injured. So, you know, it was more kind of a situation where the county jail kind of blew the situation up more than it had really turned out to be.
Okay, thank you. I assume that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you for being here. You guys are free to continue on if you'd like, or you're free to log off. I know that you have some possible technical glitch in your facility that might be happening here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to?
Yep.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
All right. They're gone and muted. Okay. There was a technical issue that was happening in that facility, so we had to get to that first.
I understand.
Sometimes we kind of do some other things first here
Mhm.
as well. Okay, so I want you to know, well, I've read your packet. We now have that additional information. I'm going to make sure that you and I are on the same page.
Okay.
You're here on two offenses. There's a 2010 offense where it was an attempted murder that sent you to prison for 3 years and up to life. You were admitted here December 12th, 2010. Then there was this new offense that we just heard Mr. Sharkey on. It's assault by a prisoner, a third-degree felony. You were sentenced on that day on April 28th, 2021. The guideline date that's been calculated with those two offenses is June 28th, 2023. So we're obviously beyond that. And the last time that, or at least one of the things that we wanted to do, there was an original hearing set back in 2013, but one of the things that they wanted to get was to get a mental health evaluation, which we now have. So those kind of cover a lot of bases, but I wanted you to know that's what I know, and I assume you are aware of the same kind of things. But all that sounds accurate to you. Is that
Yes, it
correct?
does.
Okay. So some things to maybe go over. One, and maybe most importantly, because we'll start with this, I did receive the diagnostic. I assume you received the diagnostic. It looks like there are many impressions of different things. And so that's a very good thing for you because it gives more clarity as to how best to help you to move forward and to have the appropriate treatment plan in place to help you have success, whether it's here or out in the community.
Okay.
So, so that was good. I'm glad the board now has more information. With that additional information, it'll be better for you to get better services that way. So I want you to know that was something that was important, that was listed there before. We have that. I don't know how much more needs to be talked about that. The other thing I just want to address is that it looks like you've also been quite successful in a large, I mean, there's been some things that have come up, and we'll talk about that, like with Mr. Sharkey, for example. But that you've taken lots of classes, been working on education, GED, these things. It's all in the packet. I want you to know we've seen that. That's very, very good for you. And it looks like, at least here in Utah, you know, in terms of your of a criminal history, these are the only two offenses that come up here. These two felony offenses. Now, there were some disciplinary issues, and we'll talk about that. And that's kind of where I'll lead this conversation. So I just want you to know that I know it hasn't been completely terrific, but the last disciplinary offense was back in 2021. That was with Mr. Sharkey. There was one before that in 2020, and then another one before that, and about 4 years before. But nothing's been going on. And by the time February comes around, that will be 4 years since there's been any disciplinary issue. So, I mean, I just want you to know we can see both things. Like, obviously, it's no great thing that a felony offense happened here in the prison. I'm sure you know that as well as better than anybody. But also, I want you to know that we're taking into account that that's the last thing that happened here. So obviously, there's been some good material changes in your behavior and disciplinary issues here in the prison. So I guess that kind of just leads me to in the time that we have to talk with you, one, kind of about that case. It's a new felony offense that happened here, and obviously Mr. Sharkey made a statement about that, which in all respects looks to be on balance more favorable to you than non-favorable to you. But from the Board of Pardons perspective, this is the biggest issue, is that we have a 2010 offense that looks really, really significantly problematic, obviously. And you take into accountability for that. You were sent to prison for that. So there's not a lot that we need to relitigate because, you know, you're here because of that. But I guess, I mean, it looks like it's an 86-year-old landlady. I mean, and I don't know what else needs to be said about that, but obviously that's a concerning underlying offense. And then to have this 2021, again, this is now almost 4 years ago. So, you know, we can't, you know, be blind to that. I mean, that's a significant amount of days and months. But it comes up again in the prison where there's a new felony offense. So that's probably, as I go back to the Board of Pardons, and that's what happens from here, I go back, collaborate with my colleagues, let them know kind of like the insights. That's the biggest issue that they're going to want to know about is, one, the underlying offense, but then two, to have another felony offense here in the prison. And I just want to hear your side of these things. So if you can illuminate that at all, that'd be great.
Oh, what happened was, it was, for the record, it was in jail. It was in Cache County Jail.
Yeah.
It wasn't in prison.
Yeah, it's up in Cache County.
Yeah. What happened was, I was there. I was there. From here, I was there. And I just was, I don't know, I was just being stupid, being straight stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never should have did it. I mean, it was over the TV. I mean, I put it in my files never to fight over TV before.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you know, here it is again, happening again. And
Yeah.
I just said, forget this. Then it happened. And I was like, oh, gosh. Then they charged me. I was like, oh, boy. Why me? And then I looked at the whole situation and thought, well, I'm done getting angry. And I just am. I'm just done. I'm done getting angry at it completely because anger doesn't do anything for me. And anything doesn't do anything for anybody.
Right.
Anyone. I mean, I see
Right.
people get angry at little things.
Right.
And it's like, man, what are you doing to getting angry?
Yeah.
First of all, you got to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting angry at it, you know what I'm saying? You don't get angry because.
So what have you been doing I mean, obviously it's been almost 4 years since that event happened and
What about-
obviously you've been more successful. So what skills have you been implementing to help you get less angry?
Honestly, I've been getting away from things, getting away from people, getting away from things that piss me off. You know what I'm saying? And if it pisses me off, I come at it in a total different manner. I look at people and say, okay, I'm not mad at it. Why isn't he mad at it? Then I look at him and I think, well, okay. I got to figure him out a little bit more, a little more better than what I've been doing. Because only when I see it, when I look at anger, I look at it as a childhood, as a child, you're going to get angry at something because you don't understand it, or you're going to get angry at something because you fear it. You know what I'm saying? Figure out why figure out why you don't understand it, and then figure out why you fear it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind everything. Makes no difference what it is. And then I just don't get angry. It's crazy. I mean, I'm mind-boggling by myself. I'm mind-boggling by myself.
Yeah.
Because I look at you guys. I mean, look at I look at people that's and higher up people. You know what I'm saying? I look at them and say, oh, that guy, she should be angry at something. So I guess it's not. Then I figure you out, and I think, well, he can't be angry. So he's not angry. So why isn't he angry? I know this job pisses him off. Even like yesterday with Sergeant Clark, he was doing what he was doing with us in there, and I could just tell that there was some underlying thing going on with him, but he handled it well.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there was like, yeah, he handled that professionally.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I understand you guys get angry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you do something with it instead of going out and reaching out and touching people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Handle it.
Yeah, you handle it in a total different manner, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And it looks like, again, there has been no disciplinary issues, no assaults,
No.
nothing for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And so you've been able to really implement some of these strategies. And what's happened in the last month or so is that now we have this assessment that's come out and that has given some diagnoses here and about, hey, the mental health services that they want to implement with you. And so that's probably going to be quite helpful for you as well. So tell me about your attitude towards mental health treatment and towards, the recommendations that are being made for you just to kind of help you on that path.
Honestly, I don't actually see myself as being bipolar.
Okay.
I really don't. Because, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, I see where she's coming from. I get where she's coming from. However, put this scenario in there. I never mentioned this scenario when I talked to her. My bunkie he actually went off and had somebody else crack my safe, my lock
Mhm.
on my my lock. You know what I'm saying? Not too many people got locks, but he said somebody else cracked my lock. And I didn't get mad at it.
Yeah.
It was weird, but I should have. I really should have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's an invasion of privacy.
yeah. I mean, that's all I have. That's burglary, straight up burglary.
Right.
I should have did a whole bunch of stuff to him, but I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, man, just leave. Just leave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, I have no time for you. I ain't got no time for you. You know, I'm going to see the board. I ain't got no time for you to be going to see. I ain't got nothing. I mean, come on, just leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, man, whatever you're going through, because I understood his situation about him going through with him stealing stuff. I get that. But me and what I'm doing,
Yeah.
it's like, partner, I'm on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I'm on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at this situation.
Good.
I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have no time for anger. Only thing I got time is peace and love and happiness, and that's basically what I'm after. But as far as
So, because what they do say is that they're like, Mr. Martin would benefit from mental health services to explore symptoms of bipolar disorder, also the antisocial personality disorder, unspecified neurodevelopmental disorder, and cannabis-induced psychotic disorders. So it looks like they were able to kind of go through multiple layers, and that they're asking you to be involved in the case management to help develop services and support to help you be engaged in this kind of treatment and obviously remain drug-free. It looks like drugs have been somewhat of a triggering
They've been-
mechanism.
not really, but
And they also list that it looks like your desire is for an interstate compact eventually to Texas, et cetera. So, I mean, one of the things is when we see that report, again, we rely on professionals to go in and do a job. So it's not guessing. We're not just relying on your bunkmate or, you know, us as we just talk with you for 20 minutes to make a diagnosis, but we rely on professionals.
Mhm.
And they're saying, you know, again, it looks like it's not been fully diagnosed or addressed specifically, because they're saying this is unspecified, you know, things.
Mhm.
But it's going to be important to see like what your engagement will be when it comes to treatment on that level, whether it's substance abuse treatment or mental health treatment.
I'll do it. It makes no difference. I'll do it. Whatever gets me out. I can do it. It makes no difference. I can do it. Honestly, I just want out.
I know.
I'm not lying. I mean, I can do whatever they want me to do, I'll do. It makes no difference.
Okay.
I can do it. I can even gain from it. It makes no difference. I can gain.
Okay.
But the end result is where I'm after.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after. And whatever helps me get there quicker, that's where I'm going for.
Well, you're already doing some great things. I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning, you've taken many classes, working on education even. And now you've been disciplinary issue free for 4 years, almost, for a month shy of that.
Mhm.
And then, and now like we have a good diagnostic of like, okay, so some recommended plans to help you. And finally, you're already kind of doing your own self-correction of like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need to get mad at this guy. You know, I'm going to be in control of all this, which is good. So one, I mean, you're to be commended on those things that you're doing. And then two, it's important for you to see kind of like what to anticipate. Like it's critical for you to be on that path because, you know, having a felony conviction while here in prison, although that you're at Cache County Jail, it's still, you know, in custody, is no good thing, obviously. But you've handled that the last 4 years. Really, you haven't done anything since then.
Mhm.
You've learned, you know, and sure, like you mentioned already, you've had your opportunities for sure. Okay, so those are the things I wanted to address.
Mhm.
Your history here, the underlying new case that was here, the mental health diagnostic that we've talked about, the good things that we want to talk about. Mr. Sharkey was here and present to give his statement as well, which was good to hear from, you know, someone that was involved in this. It's always good for us to get more illumination on these things. So I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover on my end. Do you feel like there's anything else we should cover? Or do you think that we've covered it?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay,
I
I do.
think covered it all.
So what's going to happen from here, Mr. Martin, is I go back to the Board of Pardons, collaborate with them with this new additional information. It'll be added to your file, collaborate with them. And then when three of us unanimously agree on a certain outcome, you'll be informed of that, and that will come in writing to you. That typically will come in the next 2 and maybe up to 4 weeks. But look for that to come. In the meantime, continue to do what you're already doing. It's the smartest thing. It's incredibly smart for you to do that. Engage in those classes, continue to be disciplinary, issue-free, and look through that letter and, continue to take control of all those things, okay?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Ways.
Okay. This is the time set for an original hearing for Ernesto Garcia Casares. Am I saying that right?
Caceres?
Casares, offender number 190424. Is that you, sir?
Yeah.
That's your name? Okay. All right. I'm Nathan Evershed. I'm a pro tem member of the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole, and I've been assigned to conduct this hearing here today. Okay. Before we proceed, I want you to be aware that this hearing is being live streamed for public access. I don't know if anyone from the general public is tuning in, but just fair for you to know it's being recorded and it's being live streamed. Okay. Before we begin, I'm going to map out our agenda. The first thing I'll be doing is I'll be swearing you in because I'll be taking testimony from you. And then from there, I'm going to gather information, make sure we're on the same page, gather some information, ask you some questions. And at the end, if you feel like there's something that you want to still present that we haven't covered, you'll have time and space to do that. But I also want you to know that there's no decision that's being made here today. What happens is I gather this additional information from this meeting here today. I go back to the Board of Pardons, collaborate with my colleagues. And when three of us have unanimously agree on a certain outcome, you'll be informed of that, and that'll come in writing within the next 2 and maybe up to 4 weeks. Okay?
Oh,
That's the
okay.
process. All right. So as I told you, I'm going to be swearing you in. So if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the information you provide today will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Did you receive at least 7 days written notice of today's hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you receive your blue disclosure packet of information?
Yes.
Okay. And you can put your hand down. You don't
Oh,
need to do
okay,
that.
yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Did you have a chance to review your disclosure packet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions, concerns, or corrections about the information in the disclosure packet?
No.
All right. So are you ready to move forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've been able to review your packet. I want you to know, this is what I know, to make sure that you and I are on the same page. You're 33 years old. You were admitted here in the prison on August 8th, 2024. The guideline date for a release, which is a date that the legislature asks us to strongly consider, is April 10th of this year. Okay, this is your first time to prison. You're here on a second-degree felony theft where the allegation is essentially you stole a truck, it was damaged and there was a total loss, and the truck was worth about $86,000. I know in your history, while this is your first time in prison, there's been multiple other felonies, multiple other thefts as well. So that's something we'll talk about. And initially, you were granted the privilege of being on probation in this case. That lasted for about 408 days, but it looks like it just ended up being a big failure. You failed UAs, you absconded supervision, didn't show up for evaluations, didn't show up to a 2-day RIM thing. So eventually the judge said, okay, fine, I want to send you to prison. So that's exactly what happened. I also do know that there was a prior case as well. While this is your first time in Utah prison, there was a prior federal prison case that you were a part of. Okay. So that kind of captures things. Everything I tell you was sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So the biggest thing is, because we can't really talk about everything and go throughout your entire life, we have to focus in on the time that we have, which ends up being about 20 minutes, on the things that I really need to get some information on so I can further clarify things to the Board of Pardon. And the biggest red flag that's going to be here is just you've had a really good opportunity at probation. The judge gave you that opportunity, and it looks like it was a colossal failure. And so tell me why the Board of Pardon should hope or even expect that a parole would be any different.
That was my very first time that I had a probation violation on the entire case. I didn't get no chances beyond that. It was this my very first, I would say, slip up, and I wasn't able to make it to my classes because due to transportation, and the judge didn't want to give me any chance at all anymore on probation. He just sentenced me straight to prison. I just felt, he's just a hard judge, you know? So he didn't give me like any other chance to try to correct it in the situation, which I'm pretty sure I could have because I did good all that time. When before I've done probation, I usually make it 30 days, you know, or so, because I'm already in the mood of like, I don't want to do this. But I was cooperating, and he told me about the classes a little too late, basically a week before I was supposed to go back, or he was gonna put me in front of the judge already. And he told me a week before that, and I only had a week to do that. And for me to find a ride within that time was kind of hard for me. And it was 2 classes. I scheduled them, but I was unable to make it.
So just help me understand, because the notes that I see, and I can look further into this, also shows that you had failed UAs, which can happen, but that also you absconded, you left probation, you didn't show up for the initial evaluations, and then he did a 2-day RIM kind of like corrective plan, and you didn't even show up on that.
Yeah, that was in that week's time.
Yeah, all that happened within that 1 week.
Yeah, because the thing was, because I'm living with my mother at the time, and after this, pretty much, but she had medical problems here in Salt Lake, and we're at her appointments, and I was a week shy of showing up for that month.
Mhm.
Like I didn't like run or anything.
Mhm.
Like I notified him and I called him, my probation officer, and he just called it since I was late. Even though I let him know it was past the 30-day mark. So he had to say that, or he had to put into the judge that I failed to show, like that I didn't show up. And for me not showing up for the rim and stuff was due to me not having a ride at the time too, also.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing on parole is that, I mean, it's not going to be peaches and cream. It's not going to be a bed of roses. It's not going to be easy. Like, you're going to have to take the initiative, and you're going to have to just follow through with things and just stay on top of it. Obviously, it's going to have to be an improvement over probation. So I understand that there can be some grievances with personalities or with other people that are involved, but at the end of the day, like, it's your full responsibility to follow through with these things. And so, tell me how you anticipate handling parole. And let's say you have a parole officer that you say, isn't as patient with you as you need to be, or you still have transportation issues or whatnot, just the things in life that can happen. What are you going to do to kind of like show that you can be successful on parole?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like the judge and just throw me in prison, my very first mess up. Like, I'm pretty sure the board may work with me on some things, like my mother's health. Like, that was the major issue why I was unable to show up. And I even had paperwork to prove it and stuff, and where I was at with her, and she was willing to let my probation officer know, but for some reason the judge and them didn't want to hear it. Like, I think that may be the only issue with me because tending to my mother, that's about it as of late of my life changing.
Yeah. See, and those things happen in life, and it sounds like you're a good son, and these are things that you want to focus on, as you should, because that's what
First time
good
in
sons
life,
do,
really.
is to focus. But being on parole has to be your number one priority. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it is so simple. Again, in this case, you're not going to necessarily have a probation officer that can book you in jail, then you have to go before a judge and, all this stuff. When you're on parole, like, you have a parole officer, and if the parole officer says that, hey, you violated, it just goes to the Board of Pardons on paperwork, and like, you're in. Like, you cannot have the attitude that this is going to be something, oh, well, they'll work with me, they'll understand. It's like, you know what, maybe. I mean, but at the end of the day, if you're not showing that that this is your top priority in life, to kind of complete these things, to go forth on these things, to show these, follow through with the evaluations and the assessments that you have, to not have dirty UAs, to always show up, to not abscond, to do those things. That has to be your number one priority. Otherwise, you're going to be coming back here and it's going to be a turnstile. Believe me, we see that all the time. Okay. So do you understand that this just has to be your top priority?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and this whole thing of like, oh, maybe they'll kind of turn a, why give anybody a chance to have that much discretion over your life? I mean, if you mess up, somebody could just say, send them back to prison.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you have complete control to show up to these things, to not abscond, to follow through with your evaluations, to check in, to stay clean. And if you do that, there's nothing that anybody can do to you because you're complying with things. You understand? You get me? But if you have a failed UA, you could be coming right back here. If you abscond, I can almost guarantee you'll be coming right back here. So anyway, there just has to be that. And I'm doing this because it's like, we get no satisfaction just to have people just kind of come back and just sit right here. It is so much better for the community and so much better for you and your family, for you to eventually get out of here, succeed on parole. And I'm telling you exactly the way to do it. You get out there and you follow through with these things. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
You have complete control and power. I mean, like, and the reason why I'm coming this way is that there seems to be a bit of a perspective of, well, maybe I can get away with some things because, the Board of Pardons, well, you know what? That is not advisable. That is just not.
I assume it'll be the same way, and that's how I'll treat it.
Good. So just do it that way, okay? I mean, you are 33. This is your first time in Utah prison, and I do know that there have been struggles in your past with other offenses, and particularly with theft and drugs and things. Sir,
Yes,
like,
sir.
you don't want to be doing this, but I just talked to the guy that was like 60. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to be here like when you're 60?
No.
And so the thing is that you just really, okay, part of what's going to happen here is that there is going to be expected of you a very clear treatment plan for your mental health and for your substance abuse issues. Okay.
Okay.
You will have to follow through with that. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, there's no mystery. I don't know what's going to come in. Other terms are going to be coming in that letter, but that's going to be for sure. That's going to happen. So follow through with those things. Okay.
So like MRT and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And like, being clean, understanding like what are those triggering issues for like taking drugs, like
Yeah.
what are the pathways in life to kind of help you have a successful pathway
Those-
where you don't have to rely on that as a coping mechanism, that you can, have good health and employment and family and all those things. You know what I mean?
I've learned something since I've been here, and I have completed an MRT program
Good.
and victims impact
Yes.
with Officer Durfee, and the
Wh-
MRT teacher was Miss Page, and I had learned some things from those.
Good.
Like triggers and things that I've recognized that I want to implement into my life
Good.
and try to use
I-
them in my everyday thinking.
I want you to know I have that here. I'm making an additional note here, and that's been good for you. It's been successful for you. You know what I mean?
And and I'm also in the solid program, section 4, cell 206 bottom. and I like where I'm at. I like the environment of being
Yeah.
in a program unit of trying to learn something here at this prison. Because like you said, I have been to prison before, and there I completed only one course because they really didn't require me much of me there, you know?
Right.
And here, there's just a lot more difference, and I mean, I'm trying to learn and take something
And I
from
want you
it.
to know, I've noted that solid program, MRT, victim impact.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a sincere effort to learn new tools, gain new traits. I also want you to know, no disciplinary issues here since you've been in prison, which is phenomenal. And the people, not all people do that. And I guess the other thing I wanted to address before our time's up, I wanted just to have you just tell me, what is your plan for possible parole? Like, tell me what life looks like. Where do you think you'd be living? Where do you think you'd be working? Things like that.
Well, I'll be living with my mother, and my sister and my brother-in-law.
Out there in Vernal.
Yeah, out
Okay.
there. No, we might be over by Farm Creek area,
Okay,
over between Roosevelt and Vernal
okay,
area. Uh, and well, I'm gonna be living with them. I got a bedroom and stuff. My mother's gonna help me out financially for the first little while.
good.
And, so my first goal is probably to figure out transportation because I may have to take the classes like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know a place. It's right there in Fort Duchesne. It's called Red Pine. There's a program there, and they do these things called outpatients and stuff like that.
Good.
So I know a place where I could probably put in for like maybe some sort of like MRT or something like
Good,
that,
good.
classes.
Good.
Like if well, I guess you said I'm gonna probably be needing something like that.
You will.
So
Good, and
I'll
then-
be able to have a job if I'm gonna be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, so it all depends, like how much, I don't know if you'll be in inpatient or outpatient treatment, that's gonna take a ton of your time. But let's say hypothetically, you're able to fit in a job, I mean, like, kind of what kind of a background do you have? For working.
Well, I haven't really worked that much. I was a maintenance man, a logger. I was even a school teacher for a little while.
Mhm.
What else?
Okay, so I mean, one thing that we may encourage you to do is go through some vocational uh rehabilitation, just to gain skills and stuff, okay? All right, so because that
I
is
signed up for that thing called Voc Rehab.
good,
I
yeah,
had signed up with the program once, and they were willing to pay for my schooling. And
Good.
what I was gonna do was go to school for my CDL,
good,
and they're gonna pay for it and stuff. So,
good.
like with those things, sir, I just want to tell you, like with the classes and the meetings and stuff,
Yeah.
I really ain't gonna be able to hold a job.
I know, and if you aren't able to, no one wants to set you up for failure. No one does. Okay, and so like, it could be, rather than that, maybe vocational rehabilitation to help you take a course, and maybe it's an online course or something, to help you gain skills and abilities to help you one day be employed. Okay, we don't want to overwhelm you. No one wants to set you up for failure. There are substantive issues that have to be addressed, sir. And as you know better than anybody, I mean, I'm looking back from offenses beginning in 2008, very serious offenses, as you know. And it looks like you were given the chance of probation. So there's a concern that with this history, there's some underlying issues that just fully haven't been addressed and that really need to be. And so that's gonna be the focus, is so you can just move on. I mean, eventually, imagine a life like this.
Yeah, well, that's actually
I mean, imagine like you get on parole, you're with your family, you gain these classes, you fly through, no disciplinary issues, no violations that way. Eventually, you're done, you're off paper, and you have the skills of like having, independence in life, and you're able to give back to the community, to your family. And that's a life, and you can obviously do that.
well, being here, there's a lot of ways to find yourself into trouble and stuff. And
Yeah,
situations and whatnot. And I've been faring pretty well here.
you have,
And-
and I noted that. I mean, you were booked here in August, and it
Yeah.
looks like no issues from there.
Yeah. And I've been being good and doing good things to stay positive and stay like on track, I
Good.
guess, for the goals that I made.
Well, we're coming to the end of our meeting, but before we do that, I want, you did say that your mother and sister were coming, and you were correct, apparently.
Yeah.
So just want to mention for the record, Valerie Kinlan, and Eagle Plume, was that? Puiga. I love those names. So welcome. I know it's a long drive out from the Vernal area, so we understand like that can happen. I actually go out to Vernal quite a bit. So we'd like to welcome you here today. Just to kind of be fair to everyone, like I'm sure you want to know what happened. We were able to talk about what kind of like his probation, what the good things that has happened, the more difficult things that have happened. And kind of like what the pathway is going to be. It looks like you have a very supportive family. He says he has a wonderful mom that is going to give him a bed and place to live. So it looks like that's been assured here.
My sister.
And a wonderful sister too. So good. Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
forget the sister. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So and I told Ernesto at the beginning, there's no decision made here today. He'll receive something in writing in the next 2 to 4 weeks. We did cover what are termed guidelines, the guideline date that has been calculated by the Board of Pardons office is for April 10th, 2025. That's a date that the legislature asks us to strongly consider. So that was noted here as well. And it's also been noted that Ernesto has been able to do a lot of good things here in the prison. And so we've noted that as well.
I was
Okay.
able to complete MRT and victims impact.
Yeah.
And
So-
that was capped for the MRT program. So
Yeah.
I completed what I needed to
Good.
for my probation, our case manager.
Yeah, so Ernesto, you're on a really good path. You're moving forward. Obviously, there was an issue there with probation. You now know that when the privilege and opportunity of parole comes up, just follow through with what they're asking you to do. Get the help that is being recommended to you. You do those things, eventually parole will be over. Eventually, you'll be off paper and you'll be going to a better life. And I know 2 women in this world that look forward to that. Okay? All right. So that was our time here for today. I appreciate your candor and your honesty and coming and talking here. Appreciate your long travel. I know it takes a long sacrifice, but you'll get that document in writing in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Briefly, if you just want to turn around and say thank you to your mom and sister, you can do that. Just
Can I
stay
give them
seated.
a hug?
No, you